All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Prequel, Origin Stories and Inflection Points by Goodie Nation. I am Joey Womack, founder and CEO, and you're in for a treat once again. You're going to hear some amazing stories from some dope founders who have had just an amazing journey along the way. Right? At Goodie Nation, we are focused on closing what we call the relationship gap. So this is the lack of connection between founders and those that are influential in business, particularly in tech. And we found that diverse founders, so think Black, Latinx, and women, and also social entrepreneurs from all backgrounds, typically experience this gap more so than their counterparts. And what does it mean when they experience the gap? It means that they have lack of access to financial capital, but it also means they have lack of access to things like customers, users, people that can tell their story, talent, and those who are experienced as entrepreneurs who can give them guidance along the way, right? This all leads to higher levels of stress for these entrepreneurs, but it also leads to increased likelihood of them actually failing, which we all don't want, right? So at Goodie Nation, we do a number of things to close the relationship gap. And Prequel is one of the areas in which it's kind of an underrated part, right? This is the opportunity for you to understand their journey to be where they are today. I feel like you'll be able to see a little bit of yourself in these awesome entrepreneurs, and you'll start to begin a relationship with them that we hope can help them achieve their potential. So as you listen along the way, listen for kind of nuggets and details and stuff like that, ways that perhaps you can support them at the end to have an ask of you. But enough of me. Let's get to the founders and learn a little bit more about them. We're going to do some quick intros for a second, and then we're going to loop back and hear their stories. And then again, at the end, I got a little bit of a favor to ask of you. So we're going to kick it off to Rishielle. Rishielle, can you quickly just tell us name of the company, 1-2 sentence description, and then where you're checking in from in the world?
Hi, my name is Rishielle Giscombe. I am the founder and CEO of Glamo. Glamo is a beauty on-demand platform that connects clients with stylists in the comfort of their location. Well, I'm located in Hollywood, Florida currently.
Nice. Chuka?
Yes, Chuka Ikokwu, founder and CEO of Diversity.io. Diversity.io is a human resource technology platform that helps companies measure the diversity and also helps connect them with underrepresented talent and helps them retain that underrepresented talent. I'm currently based in Los Angeles, California, in the West Side.
Nice. And Chudi?
Hey, my name is Chudi Iregbulem. I'm based in Los Angeles, California, and I'm the founder and CEO of Beatmatch, which is the dating app that helps music lovers find relationships by matching people with similar music tastes.
Awesome. Let's go to Kim.
Hi, I'm Kim Gaston, co-founder and CEO of Chewbox. Chewbox is based in Honolulu, but we have locations in Los Angeles and Detroit. We essentially are a SaaS solution that delivers a patented technology that enables Fortune 500s to expand their food and beverage service to remote and hybrid workers.
Nice. And Mark?
Mark Anthony Peterson, founder and CEO of Ziscuit. We have offices in Atlanta, Georgia, and Birmingham, Alabama. Ziscuit is a reverse auction shopping platform that saves our shoppers time and money when grocery stores bid to fulfill their shopping list.
Cool. Listen, I think you're in for a treat. You know, these are some awesome concepts and solutions to some interesting problems. So let's get into how they got to be where they are today. Rishielle, I'm going to kick it to you to hear more about your story.
Okay, just to let you guys know a little bit about me. I'm originally from Kingston, Jamaica. I relocated to America in 2011. With doing so, my mom and we had some really trialing experiences that led me creating Glamo. So one of these experiences that we had was one time, wanted to get our hair done, and I realized that we had to walk literally an hour and a half into the snow to make it to the appointment. Once we finally arrived to the location around 11 o'clock, which the appointment date was for, I remember we're there realizing that there was four people ahead of us. Automatically, we knew that we're going to be there for a very, very long time. So said, so done. We arrived at 11 a.m., end up leaving at 8 p.m. in the middle of the night, unfortunately. So with that said, when my mom passed away, I ended up relocating to Miami, Florida. Um, with me looking around and observing, there was a lot of people that literally remind me so much of my mom and so much of the struggles that we were going through originally. So I was led by just wanting to help. So I got my first car. Yes, I got my first car. And when I got my first car, I decided that okay, and I'm going to start like picking up people off the road, help them to reach to their location, because I remember seeing older folks that were struggling with bags coming from the grocery store and still have to take transportation to get to their location. So I helped them in that way, but I felt like I wanted to do more. So I had the natural talent of knowing how to do here. I know it's crazy because I went to the salon. Yes. So I had the natural talent of knowing how to do here. So once so what I decided to do, the people that was kind of old and really, they were having a hard time, getting their hair done and all of these things done. I decided that I'm going to go to their homes and try to help them do their hair. I did not know me doing these early people, clients here for free was going to become a big corporation as such as Glamo. So it turned out that okay, I'm helping them doing their hair, their family members, their kids are seeing what I'm doing, and everybody wanted to book. So I started off by giving away, doing five people here for free, and five people became 150 clients within the space of 2 months. So I realized that there was a need for this service, this on-demand service. So I said that okay, let me try to see if I can expand on it by getting a stylist to kind of help me out on this journey. So I started off with one stylist. It got so overwhelmed based on the demand. One stylist became four different stylists became it became overwhelmed, to four different stylists became 150 stylists, to now we have around 12,000 stylists that sign up to be a part of Glamo. Am I excited? Yes, because my journey on building this, it started off with the passion of wanting to help. And the core value of Glamour to this day is not anything else than to want to help and change the view of what the beauty industry is. Right now, I'm not really sure if a lot of people are keen on the beauty industry, but right now, around 85% of the funds that is being pushed into the beauty industry is by African Americans, but yet African Americans hardly own anything into the beauty industry. So I want to change that thought process by this platform, which is Glamo, not just by providing here on demand services, but also giving vendors the opportunity to have a platform that they themselves can utilize and build their brand on. So that is the core of Glamo, and we're trying to build that bridge that wealth gap when it comes on to people that looks like me. And that's my story.
Awesome, awesome. So one, thank you for helping other people out. Right, that's
Thank you very
amazing
much.
story, amazing story. How can people get in contact with Glamo if they want to do business or use it or anything like that?
So I would definitely recommend everybody to visit our website at glamoapp.com. Again, glamoapp.com. You can also reach out to me through my business email at info@glamoapp.com, or shoot me a message as well at Rishielle@glamoapp.com. Also, visit the Glamo Instagram, which is Glamo app. Yes.
Awesome. Cool. That's dope. That's super dope. So let's go from one kind of part of the country all the way to the other. I want to kick it over to Chuka. Chuka, how'd you get here, good sir?
All right. So once again, thanks so much for the opportunity to share my story. I'll try to keep it short. But yeah, so I was born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria. I was born into a middle-class family. And right after high school, my dad shipped my brother and myself off to the U.S. to go to school. And, the whole idea was that we'd move from Nigeria to the U.S., go to school, and then establish our career path. So I moved to the U.S. not imagining that being a Black person mattered. I always knew the U.S. was diverse. I knew it wasn't just Black people like in Africa, but I never thought that it would matter because it was just unimaginable to me that it would make a difference. So it wasn't until I graduated from the University of Texas at Arlington, got my first job out of college. It was a 60-person boutique consulting firm in downtown Dallas. I was the only non-white person. So all 59 or odd employees were white, and then I was Black. For some reason, I still didn't think much of that. So, because I could do the job. So, I got to work. First week went decently well. Then in the second week, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, one of my coworkers decided seemingly out of the blue that I wasn't qualified for the job. So they went on to start finding all kinds of ways to essentially disqualify my qualification. So week after week, month after month, they will keep coming up with exams and tests for me to essentially have to keep reproving myself. And initially, I wasn't quite sure what was going on because this sort of experience was new to me, of essentially revalidating yourself time and time again in a role. Until at some point, I realized that, it seemed like there was just a lack of trust in the fact that I could do the job for no reason other than the fact that I looked different. And what was interesting was that at this time, I was already, many months into the company, and I already had all these client engagements that I was delivering on, but for some reason that wasn't enough. It just felt too good to be true. So I would go on to move on to Deloitte as a consultant. And in hindsight, I realized that experience was essentially one that would qualify for harassment, essentially, where you're being treated differently just on the basis of your ethnicity. And I would say this was my first rude awakening. That was my wake-up call to the reality of inequity in the workforce. This was 2006. So I would move on to Deloitte and then go on to get my master's at MIT Sloan, and then made that exodus to Silicon Valley, San Francisco Bay Area. So in San Francisco, I would work there for about 10 years. And in all those 10 years, that feeling of marginalization was very, very reinforced. So I worked at Yahoo for a few years, and I was one of 9 Black people on a campus of 3,000. So you can imagine how we all knew each other, we all stuck together, but the feeling of marginalization was real. And eventually when it came time to lay off folks, I was the only one who got laid off from my team. And of course, I was the only person of color on the team as well. So part of the reality that came with being marginalized was also, being, whether it's, being passed up for promotions, being underpaid, being laid off, those things were typical. And as I moved up the corporate ladder, it became sort of call it more lonely. So I remember my last job before starting diversity, the company went on this diversity campaign and said that they were a very, very diverse company because they had a lot of women, but I was one of 6 Black people out of about almost 2,000. So I realized that there's a huge gap, right? That, even when folks think they're solving it, they're still not solving it. And it's not an easy gap to solve. So that's what inspired my starting diversity. So I went from essentially being a data science and machine learning manager in the gaming and the ad tech industry to moving on to the human resource technology industry focused on diversity and inclusion. So the idea behind diversity, that's diversity with a C, was that we will help companies, first of all, give them a sense of where they are in terms of their workforce so they can see where those gaps are. So they may be, call it 50-50 male-female, but then they may be like 1% Black, for example, thereby exposing the big gap relative to the national average and the industry. And we know it's not enough to just be aware of where you are. So we also then help them connect with underrepresented talent that we've sourced from all over the web, including any professional site like LinkedIn or GitHub or Indeed. We've been able to aggregate all these profiles and then use our artificial intelligence algorithms to predict the ethnicities and the gender to a very high level of accuracy, up to 99% accuracy, in fact, to save the human resource professionals and recruiters time, so that they don't have to eyeball profiles on LinkedIn to see if it's a relatively underrepresented candidate. So, it's been quite the journey. I relocated to Los Angeles about almost 5 years ago, and have been full-time entrepreneur on diversity. I've been blessed with a wonderful team. We're all underrepresented. We can all relate. Every last one of us has experienced some form of discrimination on the basis of our skin color or gender. So that really helps. It feeds into what we're doing because we bring on personal conviction there. So I've learned a lot of lessons along the way, and I'm very happy to just share those lessons with our community and also learn from all the other professionals that I know have experienced similar situations. But this is most certainly, this workforce equity gap is one that we're going to have to work together to close. So I look forward to the journey ahead.
Man, dude, you said 9 out of 3,000, 6 out of 2,000.
That's right.
Man. Okay. Thank you for the work, though, brother. How can people get in contact with you, want to do business or anything like that?
Yeah, so it's pretty easy. My first name, Chuka, CHUKA, at diversity.io, diversity with a C. It's on my background if we're gonna have the video available on the podcast. But yeah, Chuka, diversity.io. And also you can check out diversity.io, the platform itself. I'm also easy to connect with via the platform.
Nice. Okay, cool. Well, let's stay in LA and kick it over to Chudi. Chudi, good sir, you know the drill. How'd you get here?
Absolutely. Yeah, my story started, I was born in London, England, but raised in Los Angeles, California. So I've been here for a long time. I'm a son of immigrant parents from Nigeria. So I have that sort of background in me. But yeah, I'll start sort of with my college years. I played college football at Trinity College out in Connecticut and studied computer science and economics. And, originally I really, really struggled with computer science. Like I was not good. But, I decided to keep with it. And sort of over time, I was able to get better and things really started to click for me. And then from there, I was lucky enough to get my first job, which was at ESPN as a software engineer. And so I got to work on ESPN.com, ESPN the app, ESPN International, and ESPN FC, and sort of really learn how to build, a technology platform that gets the type of hits that ESPN does. And then from there, really wanted to, challenge myself a bit more, also get back to the West Coast, and decided to go work at Amazon under AWS specifically. And so for a couple more years, did software engineering and then actually transitioned to product management. And so I got to, see how it works from a leadership standpoint and really lead product design and engineering teams. So I got to work on, developer tools like code build, code commit, code pipeline, and code deploy. And so really got to learn the ins and outs of, technology infrastructure. But really, I've been a music lover my entire life. I played saxophone for 6 years growing up. I've been to countless concerts and music festivals. And I even started DJing in nightclubs out in Seattle when I was there. And so I truly understand sort of the power that music has to bring people together. And, I'd say the turning point for me was really back in 2016 when I was still living in Connecticut. And I wanted to go to a Cardi B concert. And, this was back when nobody really knew who she was. She was just sort of like a character on Love and Hip Hop at the time. And, I thought she was funny. And I was like, okay, let's go to her show. It was like $20. So I tell my friends, like, hey, let's go see the show. Like, she's hilarious. Like, I think you would like her. And none of my friends knew who she was, didn't want to go, had zero interest. And, me being a DJ, I'm always up on new music and really trying to find things. And so it's been a constant issue for me. And so I ended up having to miss the show. It would have been in a really nice, intimate venue. I think it was called Toad's Place in New Haven, Connecticut. And, now look at Cardi B today. She's one of the biggest artists in America, globally, everything. And so this really made me realize that there really isn't a way to connect with people who share your music taste digitally. You know, you may just get lucky and find somebody, but it's really hard to find people who actually share your music taste. And so, and there really wasn't a platform that's serving people in that way. And so that's really how the idea for Beatmatch came about, you know. And so once again, Beatmatch is the dating app that helps music lovers find relationships by matching people with similar music tastes. It's super simple. You just sign up, connect your Spotify or Apple Music account, and then we pair you with compatible music lovers in your area based on your listening history. But we're also big on IRL, right? So you can even plan your first dates by browsing curated concerts and music festivals. You can see who else is interested in going and buy tickets directly in the app. So it's really the first sort of end-to-end dating experience for music lovers. And then we also have plans to expand into helping people find friends and different things like that. And you know, to date, we're backed by some of the biggest names in music and tech, like Techstars, Google for Startups, Warner Music Group, Quality Control Music, Rhymesayers Entertainment, and Concord Music. And so we've been fortunate to have a really good, you know, base of strategic investors. And we've actually launched our beta now in Los Angeles, New York, and Seattle. And so we're really excited to see it grow and hope that people love it.
Nah, dope. As someone, I met my wife on a dating app, and I actually, quick idea. This is just came to be as you were saying this. For us, we have our podcast, obviously on Spotify and stuff like that. So I think an interesting thing would be match people up based on the common podcast they listen to.
That could work.
There it is. Okay, so how can people, you know, get in contact with you or the company?
Yeah, so my email is pretty straightforward. It's Chudi, my first name, Chudi, at beatmatch.app. You can also visit us at our website at beatmatch.app. And then we're also on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, join Beatmatch. You can find us there.
There it is. Okay, cool. So let's go a little bit further west as well, out to Hawaii with Kim. Kim, I think hopefully I got the geography right. It's been long. Yeah. So
I'm on Oahu right now. So
there it is. Let's hear your story, good sir.
I'll just keep it as short as I can. I'm a pastor's kid. I grew up in Los Angeles, in the neighborhood of Watts in South Central Los Angeles. And I went through what any kid in Watts went through in the 80s and 90s. Unfortunately, I passed by like pimps and prostitutes and drug dealers and blood and Crip gang members to get to high school behind a housing project. And every year I was in high school, at least one of my friends was murdered. So it was a really, it was tough, you know, and we had a motto at my school that only the strong survive. So, you know, really was an early indoctrination into manhood and responsibility and how powerful your word is, you know, and how important the energy that you carry on a day-to-day basis is, and that your actions have consequences. So, and I was a leader even at an early age, you know, going and raising six figures for my school through speeches and things like that. But I ended up going to Stanford University when I was 16, and I earned a BA in psychology at 20. And I was then selected as the world's youngest and America's first Ronald Mohn Fellow with Bertelsmann AG, where I was basically allowed to sit in C-level, C-suite meetings and learn from their chief executives of different divisions for about a year. I got to do some really great work. I met titans in the music industry because Bertelsmann is the B in BMG, which is now, you know, Sony BMG. So I got to meet a lot of my heroes and ask them for advice and just really understand at a very young age, like, you know, what I asked them, what would they tell me to do if I was their son, you know? And so a lot of them gave me really great advice. We got on the job training and off the job training. So right after that, I came back to my neighborhood because I guess I should tell this brief story that one of the highlights of my program was that the COO of BMG, who was my mentor, my key mentor, was principal for the day at the Choir Academy of Harlem. And so it's like a outreach program that they had. And so he's in the auditorium talking to like hundreds of Black males, and and they're asking him questions, and he's like getting stumped by some of the questions. So he ultimately gives me the mic and is like, "Hey, like, can you answer these kids' questions? You know, how do you get here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because they're asking how do you get there from here." And so that actually gave me the idea for my first business. It was the moment that I realized like my story had market value, especially in the hood with very few guidance counselors, just having a conversation about how do you strategically prepare for success, especially from the inner city. And so I produced and packaged a series of audiobooks on goal setting, and then DVDs on goal setting. And I became one of the biggest publishers, independent publishers of paraeducational content in Los Angeles Unified School District, which is one of the largest in the country. And then from there, I had a meeting, kind of a chance meeting with a tech CEO. And he was like, "You're doing really great work, but it's really not scalable." And he's like you really should be looking into tech. And so that was like over 12 or 13 years ago. So I really did a deep dive into tech, especially given my background and my network, et cetera. So ultimately what I ended up doing was founding an education based startup, an ed tech startup. And I did the Stanford StartX program as a nonprofit ed tech startup. And we grew that, me and my partner grew that to about 250 classrooms. It was basically a LinkedIn meets Kickstarter for kids, where they could design their own after school program and crowdfund the resources and even pay the teachers to be there to help them implement it to impact their community. And so Flex is my co-founder, Flex and I built that, grew it to 250 classrooms, and then started going school to school doing really cool, well, it's called professional development, but this programming for teachers. And it was when we were doing that we actually noticed something really weird. And it's that at the time, like 2-3 years ago, school teachers everywhere were still bringing sack lunches to school. And we used to think that was kind of cool. Like we can replace their lunch and they'll love us for it. But we started to realize that there was a huge gap, that in a world with Postmates and Uber Eats and Grubhub, that school teachers across LA, and then we learned across the country, were still coming to school with sack lunches. And we thought that was like, what's the reason for that? Ultimately, it was because they only have a half an hour between bells to consume meals and be back on duty. And so it's not that they couldn't afford Postmates a couple of times a week. It's that Postmates couldn't time it appropriately. So we, being the curious entrepreneurs that we are, we developed an app, used a temperature controlled delivery bag, and then took over this kitchen from a failed venture of a portfolio of a friend of ours that was in Watts. And ultimately, we solved that problem significantly. Teachers were using our service like 3 and 4 times a week. And all we did was basically push the POS system out to their phones so that they could plan their meals days, weeks, and months in advance when they're at home. And then when the bell rings, the food is there in the teacher's lounge for them because it's on a schedule. And so what we realized when COVID hit, of course, the customer disappeared. And so we opened it up to the public. And what we noticed were employees of Fortune 500 companies were experiencing the same problems now that they were at home, working from home. So we were able to expand our solution. And I won't say which company yet because we haven't gone public with our messaging yet with them, but that will happen in the next few weeks. One of the double-digit members of the Fortune 500 community asked us to actually integrate our solution into their company, and they have a project that they're working on, a multi-billion-dollar project, and we're going to help them build a ghost kitchen for it. So we basically, as a result of one partnership, we're then partnered with one of the largest food and beverage service companies in North America. So we're really looking forward to serving as many Fortune 500 companies with this solution as we can. And the great thing about Chewbox, aside from that we're a tech company and aside from the fact that we're working with Fortune 500s, is that we're from the hood. Like me and Flex and I grew up in South Central, and we have a huge commitment to helping low-income families enter the gig and creator economies. If you are the enchilada lady of Watts, you can actually, instead of having to go get a bunch of loans and build a bunch of restaurants will be able to push your menus through a network of ghost kitchens to places around the world. And that allows you to onboard into the creator economy. If you don't have a driver's license, you'll be able to hop on an e-bike and deliver meals and make money. So we're really paving the way for lower income people who come from communities like ours to be able to enter the gig and creator economy. And the last thing I'll say is we also make it possible for every customer to become a philanthropist. So we can get you a $15 meal that would be $20 to $25 on Postmates or Uber Eats, made and delivered to you for $9. And so what we ask is that you add another $6. It's optional. Add another $6 to donate, a similar meal to a family in need. And that's what Chewbox is really all about.
Man, dope story. It's actually for the so this is the 5th straight episode. Going back to Chudi, actually, sorry, former college athlete. But with you, I mean, man, just previous episode, essentially what amounts to, you didn't say this, I'm going to say it, since you're child prodigy. So just dope, man. Dope. Okay, how can people get in contact with you? They want to do business or use you or something like that?
I'm on LinkedIn, so I'm fairly approachable in that sense. But in terms of the company, what I would say is 2 ways. One, you can go to our website, which is chewbox.com. There's information there on how to get in touch with us, as well as we're on social media as We Are Chewbox. That's on IG, on Twitter. I think we even just got a TikTok account, so there's content coming from there. And then ultimately for business related stuff, our general counsel and COO is Jamila Jarman, and you can contact her directly at Jamila, Jamila @chewbox.com.
Awesome. Good stuff. So last but certainly not least, and we're going to keep it in the food space. I'm seeing some stuff here. I'm going to kick it over to Mark for his story. Mark, you want to go take it from here? And I think you're on mute.
How about that? Is that better? Joy, thank you so much for having me on the podcast here today. I want to remind the audience that Ziscuit is a grocery auction marketplace that saves our shoppers time and money when grocery stores bid to fulfill their shopping list. But it's so much more than that, because food for us means love. And food is the source of miracles. It's why in the Bible you see so many miracles connected to food. Loaves of bread and fish feeding thousands. It's about feeding, but it's also about building community, and that's what we want Ziscuit to be. Before I dig into what that really is, let me tell you how I got there. I grew up in Linden, Alabama, which is 50 miles from Selma, Alabama. I went to school in Selma, so my parents drove me back and forth to school every day, 50 miles there, 50 miles back. Linden is a food desert. We had one little small grocery store that was walkable from our house. It's the size of most people's living room. It was run by a gentleman by the name of Mr. Easley. Mr. Easley was the very first grocery gangster. This guy sold everything by the piece to make it easy for people to get the food they needed. He met them where the need was. So if you needed a single egg, he'd sell you an egg, sell you a pickle out of the jar. He'd sell you a cup of flour right out of the bag. So he knew he was serving a poor community, and he broke down everything he brought into that small store and served the people where they needed it the most. He grew that little facility to 4 more around the Marengo County area and provided for folks who couldn't get access to a grocery store. Now, my mother fortunately did have a car, and we drove 50 miles to get things that Mr. Easley did not have in his store. We drove to Selma. Her experience was a 2-hour planning, looking for coupons, going through flyers, trying to find everything that she could to extend our budget because we didn't have a lot. And she planned the stops. So on Sunday after church was 3-4 stops, 2+ hours shopping. So she had a 4-hour experience connected to groceries, and she never saved enough to put the food she wanted on our plates. That stuck with me, that resonated with me, as well as the genius that Mr. Easley brought in serving the community. When I went off to Dartmouth in Hanover, New Hampshire, I immediately recognized the same patterns. Dartmouth and Linden, Alabama have a lot in common. Small town, very few resources there to serve the Hanover area. The difference in Hanover and Linden, got a lot of rich people walking around, and you don't have that in Linden. What I noticed is that every day I went to my mailbox, people were getting huge packages of food, products sent to them from home because the local store did not support the diversity that existed on campus. Instead of having my parents continue to send me a box, I saw an opportunity. So I went in and talked to the dean and said, Dean, I can solve this problem, but I need your help. I need the space above the dining hall. I want to open up a retail store, and we're going to provide some of these products that people are having sent to them from home. Fortunately, he thought that was a great idea and gave me access to that space. And I loaded up all my credit cards after going down to the Tuck School to figure out where all the wholesalers were, and brought my first batch of products and put it on the shelf. They sat there for a while. Then I realized students don't have any cash. And I got the dean to do something that had never been done before on campus. Let the students use their ID to send the bill home to mom and dad. And when he did that, allowed me to do that, the products flew off the shelf and I was able to pay off my loans, and the business started to grow. We started serving students at other campuses like the University of Vermont. And I saw an opportunity, at least in my mind, to try to start spreading this back home to Marengo County. So I purchased one of the buildings from Mr. Easley and tried to grow my business, and while at the same time running my business on campus. Didn't know enough about business to do the things I needed to do. So I said, I got to do a reset. Went back and got my MBA from the Tuck School, and then spent time with some organizations that could challenge me to understand more of the operational side, as well as the strategic planning side of running a scalable business. So Accenture, spent a number of years there working in retail, financial services, e-commerce, utilities, learning the basics of how to build and build a big business, solve some of the biggest problems. Got recruited out of Accenture to go to an Equifax spin-out called Choice Point, where I ran the company incubator. Again, what hit me there, and these are all lessons that tie into what Ziscuit is, that data in an economy that's quickly becoming one that's driven by data is the most valuable currency that you could have. And so out of Choice Point, I launched a business called Pride Rock Holdings. Pride Rock Holdings was a biometrics authentications platform that allowed me to take digital fingerprints and submit them to any agency and get the response back on whether or not you had a criminal history in about 12 seconds. Prior to launching Pride Rock, the way you did that was to get a paper card and mail it. And then 18 weeks later, after you've submitted 8-9 more cards, because the reject rate was so high, you'd get a report back. We decided to change that and disrupt that world by putting this digital equipment at UPS stores and letting every entity that needed to be fingerprinted come in through our website, schedule an appointment, and we send the results back to you digitally after we receive them 12 seconds from the agency that had processed the report. We put up 650 collection sites around the globe, about 150 outside of the US, 500 domestically, and started solving some big problems, making the world a safer place by processing these fingerprints at a faster rate, particularly in the state of Florida, where we ran all the major school districts. We think we did a tremendous job in making sure that people who shouldn't be around kids should not be around kids. Now, why am I telling you about Pride Rock? Because data logistics is the key to solving some of the biggest food problems. Hunger is not a food problem. Hunger is a logistical problem, a data management problem. Being able to tell you where all the food is, putting it in the right place in the right time, so that we can provide the kind of savings to solve problems like food deserts and food insecurity. While we were rolling out Pride Rock, the inspiration to get back into grocery hit me one day after I set up a location, a UPS store. I went into a Walgreens to get corn huskers oil, which you use to put on your fingers to make sure that the fingerprints are taken easily. And the woman in front of me was buying her groceries at Walgreens. Had a bunch of stuff in the basket, got to the POS and didn't have enough money. She gave about half those items to her son to take the restock. I started crying like a baby because that's the same thing I used to have to do with my mom. And I said, you know what? I'm going to solve this problem. I don't want another kid to be in that situation or the mom to be in that situation. I don't want the 49 million Americans who are currently suffering from food insecurity to have to spend 2+ hours planning, 2+ hours making multiple stops and still not getting enough food. So what is Ziscuit? Ziscuit is a platform where you can post your list and let everybody else do all the hard work. Let the grocery stores figure out how to give you the cheapest food to meet your family's need. We've got 2 ways for you to do that from an auction perspective. A branded auction where you pick the brands, or an unbranded auction where you let the grocery stores pick the brand and you name the price. I got $100, I got 20 items. You pick the product brands that can meet that budget and give it back to me, and I pick the option that's best for me. On the branded side, you can open it up and let many different stores compete for parts of your list and give you the best option. The more you open it up to, the more savings you can make. But that's only part of it. I want to help my shoppers make money off the platform. That's why when we focused in on our initial launch target group, millennial moms, we built a recipe marketplace, because most millennial moms start with a recipe and shop the ingredients. That's not your typical recipe marketplace. You can store your recipe, you can search for recipes, you can also make money off your recipes. So when another mom selects your recipe, you earn a Ziscuit credit that you can cash in for real money. Again, why am I doing that? My mom didn't have gas every day to get that Selma. She had to scrape looking for quarters in the sofa cushions to get enough gas to get back and forth. I want to build a platform that can not only help you save, I want to put money in your pocket. Again, it's all about community. So when you log into Ziscuit, I want you to know that when it comes to your grocery budget, don't risk it, just Ziscuit.
There it is. There it is. I love it. I love it. One time for Mr. Easley. You know, I'm from Alabama, by the way. I love it. I love it. I love it. We went to church today. I know.
Hey, man.
PK.
I'm a son of a pastor too, so you know, I grew up hearing them sermons. I guess some of them leaked into me.
There it is. There it is. I love it. So listen, how can people get in contact with you if they want to do business with the company?
I would love for them to start first at our website, ziscuit.shop. That way you can learn a little bit about our search engine, which is what we're rolling out in phase 1. That gives you the pathway to the cheapest groceries. You can find me on Twitter at Ziscuit _CEO. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Now that'll be a little harder because Mark Peterson, there's a bunch of us. Typing that in is like whistling to a pack of dogs. All of us are going to look up. So you might have to put Mark Peterson / Ziscuit or Ziscuit to find me on LinkedIn. Those are all the great places to start to find and connect with us.
There it is. There it is. Good stuff. Good stuff. So listen, good people out there listening. I told you you're in for a treat. You got a treat, right? I told you if you're going to get a treat, you got a treat. Dope founders doing dope stuff and then just dope stories. So here's my ask. Again, I said at the outset, I got to ask for you. Support. Dr. Key Holloman from Village Market here in Atlanta says that support is a verb, right? So there's a little bit of action behind this. Here's a few ways that I think you could support these awesome founders, right? 1, you can become a user or a customer. 2, you can provide capital. Maybe you're an investor or something similar. 3, perhaps you can help tell their story, right? You can amplify their story and things of that nature. Or simply 4, you can help just share their story here on social media, whether you're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, anything of that nature, right? If for whatever reason you can't do at least the first 3, you can easily share on social. I'm pretty confident of that. Perhaps someone in your network can. I'm pretty confident someone in your network can. So again, here's my ask. Spend about 30 minutes figuring out how perhaps you can help them with yourself personally, or spend about 30 minutes figuring out who in your network can support them. Again, either being a customer or a user, providing capital, telling their story or something of that nature, right? If you can do that, so 1 hour a month, you can do that over 6 months. That's how you go from, actions to habits. And as you bring in more people from your network that are thinking about this as well, you go from habits to behavior to culture. That's how we develop a culture of supporting diverse founders and social entrepreneurs. At Goodie Nation, that's what we call being intentionally good, right? So be intentionally good and support these awesome founders who just told you some awesome stories. Now, they gave you their contact information, but also you can look at the link here at the bottom of your screen to find out more information about them. There's a card there. You can click on the card, learn a little bit more about the company. There's a link that says warm intro. You can get in contact with them there as well. And then you can also see all the other Black Founders Fund 3 recipients from Google for Startups, as well as the historical Black Founders Fund recipients. So use the link at the bottom of your screen if you want to get in contact with them, or visit their websites or social media or things of that nature. But at the end of the day, just please support, right? It's what we call, again, being intentionally good. So another amazing episode today. Special guests, recipients of the Google for Startup Black Founders Fund 3. I'm Joey Womack, founder, CEO of Goodie Nation. As always, outwork yesterday and then stay magnetic, y'all.